Glad to be here from the Midwest, all the way from the Midwest, bringing you the awards part of the evening. This is, after all, the West Coast Liberty Awards. So I am here with you tonight to honor two individuals, California State Senator Scott Wiener and California Assemblymember Todd Gloria, for doing truly fantastic work on HIV criminalization reform here in California. I'm sure many in this room are familiar with the work Lambda Legal has been doing on HIV criminalization for years now. But for those of you who may not be familiar with this issue, HIV criminalization refers to the unwarranted and inappropriate prosecution of people living with HIV. Frequently, these prosecutions result in severe criminal punishment, years in jail, for an HIV-positive person who dares to have sex and does not disclose, or is unable to prove they disclosed their HIV-positive status. And in most states, including California until very recently, these prosecutions can take place regardless of whether there was any risk at all of HIV transmission. In a country where incarceration is seemingly the solution for everything, these outdated and fear-based laws single out members of our own community for unjust prosecution and excessive punishment. Even within the LGBT community, there is still support. A substantial number of people support these laws. And that is one of the things that made Senator Wiener's and Assemblymember Gloria's willingness to embrace this cause and champion legislation to fix California's HIV criminalization laws all the more impressive. They did it not because it was easy, not because it was politically popular, not because they expected to receive awards, as they will be tonight. No, they did it because it was the right thing to do. Because it will improve our ability to fight the HIV epidemic in this country, and because they believe that the well-being and rights of people living with HIV matter. And believe me, their resolve was tested multiple times. It was tested when a key ally, the Health Officers Association of California, seemed to be switching sides in the middle of the fight. It was tested when the right-wing media got wind of the effort and Bill O'Reilly was attacking them on his show and on social media. And it was certainly tested when Governor Brown's own Department of Public Health appeared poised to tank the bill by convincing him not to sign it. Each time, these two legislators were not discouraged. They would not be cowed, refused to back down, and instead stood strong, recalibrated the strategy, and forged ahead until we achieved our goal. And in the end, the victory we achieved was complete. We did not just improve the laws in California a little. Oh, no. We made California once again the model for the country on this issue. So without further ado, I want to personally thank Scott Wiener and Assemblymember Todd Gloria for being such incredible partners in this effort. And I want to bring them up and to give us all the opportunity to honor them for showing us the very best our community can be and for demonstrating what we can achieve when we come together and stand in the truth of our principles. Senator Wiener and Assemblymember Gloria.
Wow, thank you, Scott. I have to say, before I was in elected office, I practiced law for 15 years. And I understand, not just as a gay man, but as a lawyer, what a critical role Lambda Legal plays for our community. And 99% of the time, you don't see it. This is an organization that sticks up for us, not just in writing the laws, but making sure they're enforced. And I just want to really tip my hat to Lambda Legal for everything that you do and for working with us. You know, for me, and I know the same is true of my friend and amazing partner on this bill, Todd Gloria, for me, this was personal. I came to terms with myself as a gay man in 1987 when I was 17 years old, back when there was no effective treatment for HIV, where people were dying in unbelievable numbers, when we had a president who I think at that point had just finally, after 6 or 7 years, uttered the words HIV or AIDS, when it looked like our community was just going over a cliff. And over the years, I am lucky. I am lucky that I managed to stay negative. I have known so many people who have seroconverted, including some very young people, people who have been able to stay negative for 20 or 30 years and then seroconvert. People in our community, leaders in our community who have died, who we don't even know what they would have been able to contribute had they survived. And all of these people who have gotten sick, who have died, people who have managed to stay healthy, all these people have been trying to do is just to be healthy and to live their lives. They're not criminals. And you know, I was always aware that there were these laws out there, but as I learned more, and especially as I was being elected to the Senate and being in a position to do something about it, it really made me angry. It made me angry that people living with HIV were treated like criminals. It made me angry that HIV, due to hysteria, had been singled out from every other serious infectious disease and treated as a felony where you can go to prison, even if you didn't infect anyone. It made me angry that we were being stereotyped that anyone who was HIV positive must be some sort of sociopath who was trying to run around and recklessly infect people. It made me angry that 12% of people in California who are HIV positive are women, and yet women account for almost half of the prosecutions, and especially black women. It made me angry that this was being used as a tool to criminalize a health condition. You don't make people healthy by threatening to send them to state prison. And I am so proud of the coalition that came in behind this bill. This was a hard bill. Todd and I and the coalition, we had to go member by member, including liberal Democrats, because sometimes people's first reaction to this bill was pretty negative, and you had to explain why criminalizing health conditions is not how you make communities healthy. But this coalition was so strong, and it stood up to so much that it made our lives a lot easier. And ultimately, we were able to pass this bill. And I will also, just as a reminder, that sometimes there's this perception in this society that we as LGBT people have made it, right? That we're out of the woods, that discrimination thing is a thing of the past. We know that that's false for many reasons. But we learned that when Governor Brown signed this bill, and I want to just also say, Governor Jerry Brown will go down in history as the most pro-LGBT governor of the history, probably of this country. He has signed so many cutting-edge laws for our community. But when he signed this bill into law, the backlash that we got was something I have never seen before, that Todd and I personally got, in terms of people saying, I hope that your mother gets AIDS and dies, I hope that you get AIDS and die. It really revealed the dark underbelly. But this was a huge victory for our community, and I want to say thank you to Lambda for working with us and allowing us to make this happen. Thank you.
What can I add? Don't worry, I will be brief because Scott said it all, and I'm standing between you and Deborah Cox. So we got to wrap this up, right? Just want to say to Tamika, it's not just the lesbians that love Deborah. The gay men are all in the tank for Deborah Cox, right? just want to say briefly, it was an honor of a lifetime to work on this particular issue. I'm only in my second year in the legislature. I was sworn in days after World AIDS Day in 2016. And I was standing, we have this annual event in San Diego. It's a tree lighting ceremony. It's the holiday season, December 1st. And I was standing at this event. I've attended this event for nearly 20 years. And a member of the audience saw me there, and he knew I had just been elected to the legislature. A guy I'd known for a while, he came up to me and said, "Todd, you're getting sworn in on Monday." I'm like, "Yes, I am." He's like, "I'd like you to do just one thing. Tell me more." And he said, "I'd like you to repeal this part of the code. It is so detrimental to our ability to reduce the stigma, to get people to come into care, and to stop this disease for once and for all." And I said, "Well, I'm here to serve. I want to take this on." And I got to Sacramento, and I met Scott Wiener, who, if you're in a fight, if you're in the foxhole in a war, you want this guy on your side. Scott Wiener is an incredible legislator, and I'm so grateful to serve with him and take on this fight. And I will say that over the many months it took to do this, and it was a personal event. Politics is personal. That's why all of you are here too. Many of you, this is a personal issue, and that's why you're involved. I will tell you, talking member to member, and I want to acknowledge the help and support of the chair of the LGBT Legislative Caucus, Evan Lowe, who is here. Evan is an incredible tactician in the work that's done in the legislature. He was so helpful. But we went member to member, and I want to thank the 76 senators and assembly members who voted for this bill, because they catched hell for this too. But they did it because they understood that it was inequitable, and most importantly, it was standing in the way of people getting care to stop the spread of this disease and to make sure that we don't have more infections. And so I want to thank all of them, along with Governor Brown, because it did take courage, and he had to do it over the objections of some of his staff. But that's the independent thinker that we sent to Sacramento, and he did not let us down in this regard. And lastly, I would just say, to sum this up, because again, nobody's supposed to be here except for all of you, but Deborah for sure needs to be up on this stage. I would just say thank you for your support of Lambda Legal. Scott and I get to write the bills and we get to vote, but it is Lambda and the other organizations like Equality California and others that storm the Capitol and knock the doors and provide the advice, the technical assistance, the things that makes our job easier. So while we get all the glory, it is your contributions and your support of this organization that has put California at the leading edge of LGBT and HIV/AIDS rights. And so I will simply end by saying, so goes California, so goes the rest of the nation. What we did last year in California is now being done in 4 other states across this country. That will add to the 3 that currently have it. And I believe this tide will not turn back, and that when we are complete, not only will the stigma against this disease be reduced, but we know that there will be plenty of people, millions of people, who will not get this disease because they understood that it is not a death sentence, that there are options that are out there, and that we can move into the light when it comes to HIV and AIDS care. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for supporting Lambda Legal, and thank you to Scott Wiener.